either catching us live or catching the replay of this webinar today. And what we're going to be diving into today is something super important, as well as common across the. There we go. That's better, more better. Anyway, so we're talking about something that's crucially important today, and it is the me. We're going to be talking about how to identify them, and then finally, the most important part of this whole thing will be how do we go about stopping them from occurring in the first place. All right. So thanks for tuning in. I don't expect this to take the full hour that I slated, but who knows, right? All depends. Everything depends. But I expect this to be wrapped up probably within 30 minutes. So if you're grabbing this live, just keep that in mind, unless you have tons of questions, which I don't think there will be, because every time I present this to a coaching session, a training group training session, whatever, people immediately get it. And it's not difficult per se. It's just a matter of us needing to think this way and understand it and go, and you'll understand and you'll have the same effect too, same reaction. All right, so let's set the stage, shall we? Let's have a quick chat about managing expectations. And what do I mean by that? So I'm going to talk to you quickly about a scenario. Think of this. So you give a task to a subordinate, you ask them if they have any questions, they say no, and off they go. Time passes, you come back later, and you look for an update. Maybe that task is supposed to have been completed by now, maybe not. Either way, you check up and you go, what the heck is this? This isn't what I was expecting. This isn't what I asked. This is totally wrong. Or maybe one of your people goes off and does something completely and utterly wrong. I mean, from like a conduct perspective. So maybe they are a bit immoral in how they go about getting their sales. So not exactly telling the truth, but not quite lying neither. But your expectation was that was to not occur. Okay? This is what I'm talking about. So when we get into this framework, and you'll see here, I talk about my 3 domains of leadership. Right? I'm talking about leading ourselves, leading our team, and leading our organization. Now, most people would immediately believe that this is a leading your team thing. This would fall into that domain per se. And you're not necessarily wrong. Absolutely not wrong. Not wrong whatsoever. However, I would suggest that the other 2 domains equally apply. If you argued with me, oh, they should apply a little bit less, we could definitely have that conversation, and probably I could get bent to say, okay, yeah, it's more of a leading your team thing, but at the same time, the other 2 domains definitely apply. So let's dive into what it is when we talk about management of expectations and how we go about making sure that these expectations are, in fact, met. So, the first things first, right? We have to figure out why this is occurring. Okay. The why behind it is always important. So, this is the first thing. And what I'm going to do is actually, bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pop open a whiteboard. There are no slides for today's presentation. There are whiteboards. So if you bear with me, we'll embed a whiteboard. Okay. Firm. All right. So first things first is what I want you to understand is that there are actually 3 different reasons why someone misses your expectation. 3 different gaps is here. Space in between is gap. Thing as the leader is that your person is here, right? Or above behind, right? But this is the standard. This is the expectation. This is where you want them to be. If they go above, well, congratulations, it's awesome. There may be great things according to that, but also there may be some negative repercussions or consequences because of that as well. So this is where you want them to be. They're down here, and what you want to do is bring them up here. There are 3 different types of gaps that occur that cause this gap and why it doesn't get filled. And the first one is, and I'm going to type it in because my writing is bad enough. Oh, I got caps lock on. Look at that. There we go. So anyway, my writing is bad enough. It's even worse on the mouse. So the first one is a knowledge gap. The person doesn't actually know what it is that they need to do. So if you give them, someone told me right now, if I was given a task at work to go ahead and code a new AI that would scan the internet and look for different variations of how people remember the number sequence of pi, super random, right? Why? Because I have no idea coding. Nothing. Right? I don't know how to code computer programs. I don't know how to code any type of AI. I use AI on the regular, but I don't know how to code it per se. I wouldn't even know how to take an existing AI, such as ChatGPT, and then go ahead and recode it to do exactly that. So that is a knowledge gap. We don't know what it is, how to do it. Right? We don't know how to do whatever is expected from us. And then when we don't know how to do something and we turn around and you basically your expectations aren't met, it's because that knowledge isn't there to take me from here and bring me up to there per se. So this is why the knowledge gap exists. Okay. So that's one of 3. There are 3 different ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the 3 different ones, and then I'm going to talk about how you get solve the problem for each one of those. So 3 different gaps, and I'm going to shock you. There are 3 different ways to solve the problem with the gap of each one. Rule 3s. All right, so let's dive into the next one. The next one is the importance gap. Okay. That task is to you, to your team member or team members, as well as the organization. So that is the importance gap. So when someone doesn't know how important something is, they may not necessarily place the proper amount of time, effort, resources to it. And therefore, the importance gap, because their time is spent on doing other tasks, the importance gap then causes it to exist, right? Because what happens is you expect the task to be done to a certain level. Everyone has 50 million things they need to do. We only have so much time. And the moral of the story is that we can't achieve everything to the perfect or the highest level of standard, etc. Can't be done. Okay. So when someone doesn't achieve something to that level of standard that you expect, so up here again, and they achieve it to here, they know what to do. So let's go back. I know how to code AI. So I've done, I've shown other AI. I've done other projects in that realm. I obviously have the competencies to achieve to that task, what's expected of me. Then the next gap is the importance gap. I don't know how important it is to you. I don't know how important it is to my team. I don't know how important it is to my organization to achieve this. This is where the importance gap comes in. Now, let's see if I can pan this. Yes, I can. I'm going to pan this over just so we keep it at a decent size. And the final gap. So let's go. So let's say, obviously, I know what I'm doing when it comes to the AI example. So I know how to code. Great. Done it in the past. Great. You tell me how important it is. Awesome. Sounds good. All right. I know that it's important to you. I know it's important to the organization, and the team and I both know that this is important overall. Okay. So those gaps don't exist. Yet for some reason, the expectation's here, and I'm still showing up here. There's one last gap that covers this. And this is the one that really tricks a lot of people up, and that is the implementation gap. And yes, I speak as I write it long words. Okay. The implementation gap. So implementing the time, effort, resources, basically taking effort and implementing to achieve whatever it is that task is to achieve. All right. That is what we mean by the implementation gap. So I know what to do. I know how important it is, yet I still don't do it. Now, you can think of a personal example, like an individualistic example of this, and this is often health and fitness, right? People know what to do. Eat less calories than to lose weight. To lose weight, you do one thing. You eat less calories than you eat. That's it. People know that's important. Important in health, right? It's health. Health is super important to everyone. You want to live a long life. You want to be there for your family. You want to see your children grow up. You want to see your grandkids grow, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So you know the importance. It's the implementation that kicks people in the butt. It's the implementation that people fall short on. This is the gap where I would suggest about 85, 90% of your problems occur. It's the implementation gap. Knowing the of the end product being there, and the reality is the implementation of that task, processes, etc. Put it down here. So these, ladies and gentlemen, are the three different gaps. Okay, I'm just going to close the agenda, pan over, and there we go. All right, so we have three gaps, three different categories. So let's move on to the next thing. Let's talk about the root causes. And the whiteboard went away. Let's bring that back up because we need that. So bear with me. It's the first time I used the whiteboard in a live webinar, so just bear with me. All right, so we are back. Let me just close this, move this, and now I know not to change the agenda every second. All right, so let's bring this up front and center. So we got the knowledge gap, we got the importance gap, we got the implementation gap. So each one of those gaps, there are 3 different things in which you can do to close that gap. There are 3 different things. In the knowledge gap, this one is the easiest one for us to know. And that is training. The first thing everyone goes to, training. Teaching someone what to do. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break all 3 of these out in the knowledge gap and explain the differences with all 3 up so that you can see that better. So the first one is training. The second one is ship. All right, these are the 3 things that you need to do, that you implement to it is, those are the 3. All right, again, training, coaching, and implementation. So let's talk about the 3 and their differences. Training is pretty well known. Training is basically certifications, going on courses, getting told, okay, click here, hit this button, move cursor there, click this, click that, etc. That is training. All right. Direct, you do what I tell you to do for these reasons. Okay, so again, I can go ahead and get sent off to a training program to develop AI. They exist. Way I go, I come back with a certification. Coaching is more active. So this is where the individual comes to a coach and says, hey, I'm having problems in these different areas. I'm not sure what to do here. I don't quite know what to do there. And a coach will tell them best practices, give them things to consider, and then kind of, guide them towards the right answer. So again, with the AI thing, I go off, I get trained up in creation of AI, and then I come back and I start building thing, and someone's actively kind of with me often and letting me know, okay, yep, you're doing good here. However, this coding here could be done better in this way. You can shorten it, making the program faster. You can do this, you can do that to make it run smoother, better. There could be better interface with the user, all those different things. Mentorship is even another step back per se. So I know how to code. I know a great, for the most part, the best practices. I've done projects, etc. Mentorship is where I now go to someone who has a lot of experience and they guide me. So let's say I have a new project in my head and I kind of map it out with them and they go, okay, well, have you considered this? Have you considered that? Okay. What do you think the advantages are to this process? What do you think the disadvantages are to it? And so on. And then you let the person go to kind of experience it and not necessarily be there over their shoulder. So training, coaching, mentorship. This is how we eliminate the knowledge gap. So now let's move on to the importance gap. Remember, the importance gap is all about the person knowing why it's so important. So obviously, the first one is prioritization. I don't know how many times I've said this, and I will say it again. That is spelt wrong. There we go. If everything is a priority, nothing is. How many times have we sat in meetings and a supervisor, supervisor has said, or you've asked a supervisor, okay, what's the priority here? You have this is a priority, that's a priority. You said this other thing's a priority. What's the priority? And the supervisor goes, well, all of it. It's all priority. Okay. If everything is a priority, that means nothing is a priority. As a leader, we need to effectively prioritize because, as I talked about earlier, our team's time is limited. Our time is limited. We cannot get into this habit of thinking everything is going to be perfect all the time and we're going to be able to get all the results we want in a little to no time. So, prioritization is absolutely and utterly crucial. Okay. So, you as a leader, you need to work on that. Then, a bit off. I could probably find a better word to describe this. And if I do, I'll update everything. But what do I mean by expectations? Expectations, basically, what I mean here is, what do you expect from them? Oh, sorry, I got it animated and hit my microphone. Anyway, what do you expect from them? What level of standard do you expect from them? How deep do you want them to go? How detailed do you want them to be? What is the framework of the task? That's what I mean by expectations. So if you tell somebody, again, if we go ahead and use my AI example, okay, I just go ahead and build a web version of the AI. Go to a website, scottsai.com. I have no idea if that's a real website, by the way. Just you throwing it out there. But anyway, let's say we go to scottsai.com and boom, there's my AI. But you, as my supervisor, your expectation was not just a website. Like, we need an app. But you don't communicate that with me. That is why we missed the expectations. That's why there was a gap. We didn't tell you the expectation of this thing because it's so important and we need to have it everywhere. So we want a web version, we want an Android app, we want an iOS app, we want an app that works on tablets as well as phones, etc. That is what I mean by expectations. Okay. The final thing in here we need to do to close the importance gap is communication. We need to communicate with our people the importance, the priority, and the expectation of the task result with our people. If we don't, that's why the gap exists. You need to communicate that with them. So I talk about my delegation framework all the time. Tell them what they're to do, tell them what their boundaries are, how far they can go, either way. Ask them if they have any questions. Once they say no, or you've answered them, you send them on your way. But you go ahead and allow them to follow up. Allow them to come back because we don't always have all the questions in our head immediately right there and then and there. Things change. Our perspective changes. We hit a block, we're not 100% sure. We need to enable that communication. On top of that, the leader want to communicate as well so that someone understands. Okay? If the priorities change, we need to communicate that as well. All right? Communication, super crucial. It will destroy you if you don't do it and do it properly. Okay, before we dive into the last one, I'm just going to take a quick sip of water here. I'm getting a bit dry. For those who are following me live right now, this is day 6 of my 75 hard challenge, my mental toughness challenge with members of the mastermind, and they're just doing a bang up job. I can't believe those folks. They're crushing it. So proud of them every day. Anyway, let's dive into the last gap and how we eliminate it. And the first thing is accountability. Accountability. Holding people accountable. And when I say holding people accountable, I don't mean bringing them in the office and going, you didn't achieve this, you didn't achieve that, you did wrong. That's not accountability. Well, it is, but still, it's not. When I say using accountability to close the implementation gap is, one way to do it is set milestones. By week 1, we expect this to be done. By week 2, we expect that to be done. 3, 4, so on. Having regular check-ins. Having team members hold each other accountable. Okay? These are all different ways of accountability. And it doesn't have to be reprimanding in nature. Accountability, in fact, is putting it down. So having these metrics, these goals, these milestones in place, having additional team members work on the project so people can hold each other accountable will, in fact, bring that gap and close it when it comes to implementation time, because they'll make sure that they are working on it as they should be working on it. The second last thing here in this list is culture. And I'll give you a story. I worked with an organization once. Okay. Actually, yeah, I was working with an organization and I went out for some meetings to their offices. I show up for the meeting. We'll say it's supposed to start at 9. I can't remember exactly what time it was. Doesn't matter. We'll say it's supposed to start at 9. 9 was there. No one was there. 9:05 came. No one was there. 9:10 came. I went for my second coffee. 9:15. Come back. Still, no one there. No one showed up. 9:20-ish. Someone walked through the door. Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry, I'm late. So my expectation was that the person was going to be there at 9 because we had established a meeting to be at 9. Now, I'll preface this with, sometimes things happen. Traffic, issue at home, boss grabs you suddenly out of the blue, sucks up a bunch of your time. There's all kinds of different reasons why this person could have showed up late. But the reality is that that person's organizational culture was that if you showed up to meetings on time, that means you weren't working hard enough. So you see why there was a gap. My expectation was you showed up on time. The culture dictated that if you showed up on time, you're not working hard enough, you're not busy enough. I'll go down talking about that. Maybe that'll be a podcast or episode for another day. But it's a great example to show why this gap, this issue exists. So if the culture doesn't align with the expectations that you have, then either you need to change your expectations or you need to change your culture. And in my example here, I would suggest the culture needed to change, vice the expectations. All right, and the last thing, ladies and gentlemen, to cure the implementation gap is commitment. commitment is basically the person commits to implementing whatever it is that they're supposed to be implementing or working on, that they go after and get the job done. Okay. So getting commitment from the individual, absolutely crucial to going and eliminating that implementation gap. Now, let's talk about who's responsible for these. Okay. So training and coaching. Actually, let me pan over a bit so I can see better. Okay. Training and coaching. Who's responsible for training within an organization? You, the leader. You're responsible for making sure your team members have proper training. Now, some of you may say, oh, but it's responsible. The people are responsible for making sure they have the training before they get hired. Okay, great. That's your responsibility to make sure that actually occurred. They do have the proper training. Who's responsible for coaching their team members? You, the leader. Scratch. What I'm doing is showing you who's where your person who missed the expectations, where their full responsibility lies. Okay. Mentorship. Who's responsible for mentorship in organization? That's you, the leader. So again, not them. Who's responsible for setting priorities? You, the leader. Who's responsible for setting the expectations of the task at hand? You, the leader. Who's responsible for making sure communication flows back and forth? That the processes and the ability is actually there. It's you, the leader. Now, you could probably argue with me, well, yes, you can have all of that, but it's still up to the team member to actually come and communicate with you. Agreed, 100% agree. But what I'm saying here is that it's your responsibility to make sure that that person has that in-depth feeling and understanding that they can communicate with you, that they have the psychological safety set to be able to communicate with you. Okay. Who's responsible for making sure people are accountable to implementing the tasks at hand? That's you, the leader, again. And then finally, not finally, two more to go. Who's responsible for setting organizational culture? You got it. You, the leader. And then commitment. Who's responsible for your people to commit to the tasks? This one here. That's them. Okay. That's them. It's kind of hard for you as a leader to get them to commit to tasks. But what I would say to you is all these other things here. I'm going to change colors. All this and all this is not set. Then why in heck would a subordinate commit? If you're not giving them training, the coaching, mentorship, if you're not providing them the prioritization and setting expectations properly, if you don't communicate with them, if the culture is off and there's no forms of accountability, i.e., other team members are doing whatever the heck they want to do, and no one's holding them accountable, why then would someone be committed to achieving the results that you expect them to achieve? So, when I say all of that, who does it boil down to again? That's right, you, the leader. You're responsible for whether or not expectations are met from your team members. And when they're not met, it falls on you. You have to provide all these things to go and close all the gaps. So I hope this was effective for you. And that is how we go leading with impact. Okay. So this is how we go ahead and take this and move it up. And what I'll do is I want to share a file. I will do that now. And what I'm sharing is just a photo file. All right, and that is that. So that is now embedded within okay, this presentation. So for all you who are checking out, you can feel free to download it. It'll be available in the Facebook group, and just reach out to me if you want a copy of this. But it will show you, okay, where the gaps are and what you need to do. It shows you exactly that, where you need to prioritize, where you need to focus on changing. And if you're having issues with the implementation gap, because as I said, this is one where it trips people up the most, we're here to help. Okay? I have multiple resources here to help you. You're not alone, despite the fact of how you may feel. You're not alone. I've been there. That's why I coach on it. It's why I started the podcast and stuff. You're not alone. Okay? In that you can get help through the different resources. I provide one-to-one coaching where we can sit down, we can work through this, how to instill accountability, how to do commitment, how to get culture, so on. Maybe setting priorities, or how to communicate more effectively. Everything we do. Okay, one-to-one coaching is here for you. The Leader Growth Mastermind, where you can go ahead and not just me, but a full community, and tap into the experience of all these people and say, hey, I'm having issues here. What's your perspective? What do you think? And get multiple perspectives from it. So powerful. Can't even begin to explain how powerful that mastermind community is. But if you don't come and take advantage of it, then you're just going to spin your wheels. So I'll leave you with this. Are you ready to start leading with an impact, or are you ready to start making a difference? Are you ready to stop bashing your head against the wall and asking yourself, why? Why am I not getting what it is I want to get or expect to get? And instead go, yes. The team is crushing it. Both forums are here for you. Both resources are here for you. It's up to you to take it on. I will tell you, if you're a little bit hesitant, the mastermind community is exactly the place to start, because one, it's much cheaper, obviously, than one-to-one coaching, but my money back guarantee is unrivaled. I will state that publicly to the world. Go ahead, try to rival me, because I won't give you your money back if you're not happy after 30 days. I'm going to double it, because I believe in it so much, and the members believe in it so much, that you get such an amazing impact out of this, that not only will I give you your money back, I'll give you it doubled, because then obviously I've done something wrong. But my belief is you're going to stay. That's why I put that double out. And yes, it's there. It's on my website. You can check it out. So if you're ready for more, you want to join us, you're tired of spinning your wheels, come try it out. leaddon'tboss.com/mastermind and sign up right now. And before you know it, you'll be crushing all these missed expectations and having them fulfilled. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for the webinar. Thank you all. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Best thing as always, lead, don't boss, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.